Hey there, and welcome back. Think about it. Your body's under constant threat, but lucky for us, it's equipped with some absolutely incredible high-tech alarm systems to keep us safe. Today, we're diving into two of the most fundamental ones: how your body sounds the alarm to literally eject a threat, and how it deploys a full-on emergency response team to fight an invasion. All right, let's paint a picture. Two scenarios. In one, you've eaten some questionable sushi. Bummer. In the other, a simple paper cut on your finger has gotten infected. Now, these seem like totally different problems, right? I mean, one is basically an internal poison that needs to get out, and the other is an external breach that needs to be fought off. So, what gives? How does your body even begin to handle them? Well, it turns out your body has a totally different game plan for each one. It doesn't just have one big red panic button for everything. No way! It's got these super sophisticated, targeted alarm systems designed for very specific kinds of threats. And that's what we're going to unpack today. Exactly how these two alarm systems work, and maybe more importantly, how modern medicine has learned to hack them. Okay, let's jump back to that bad sushi. Your body's #1 priority is simple. Get it out now. This, my friends, is alarm system #1. Let's call it the ejection protocol. And trust me, it's way more than just your stomach deciding it's had enough. It's this whole complex, coordinated reflex. So deep inside your brainstem, in a part called the medulla, you've got this command center for the whole protocol, the vomiting center. You can literally think of it as a control room for this whole operation. It doesn't just launch on its own. It's waiting for signals from the field. And when it gets the right, or I guess the wrong stimulus, it kicks off that complex and, let's be real, pretty unpleasant sequence of events we all know as vomiting. So you might be wondering, where's this control room getting its intel? Well, it's not acting alone. It's got spies everywhere, constantly feeding it information. You've got the chemoreceptor trigger zone, or CTZ, which is this amazing chemical checkpoint that's outside the blood-brain barrier. That's a huge deal because it means it can sniff out toxins right in your blood. Then there's the vestibular system in your inner ear. That's your motion detector. Of course, your gut and throat are lined with sensors. And get this, even your higher brain functions, like anxiety or panic, can hit the alarm. But how does the message actually get sent? It's not just a vague feeling. It's a specific chemical hitting a specific receptor. You gotta think of them as big red panic buttons. The two major ones here are serotonin, which hits the 5-HT3 receptor, and dopamine, which targets D2. So in our bad sushi situation, the toxins in your gut trigger a massive release of serotonin. That serotonin then slams the 5-HT3 panic button, and that sends a screaming red alert to the vomiting center saying, eject, eject now. All right, let's switch gears. Back to that infected paper cut. Obviously, throwing up isn't going to help here, right? Instead, your body needs to send in the troops. This is where alarm system #2 kicks in, the first responders, or if you want to get scientific, what we call acute inflammation. Okay, so the second bacteria get into that cut, this 3-part emergency response just explodes into action. First, vasodilation. The blood vessels nearby get wider to crank up blood flow. That's why an infected cut gets all red and warm to the touch. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Next, the walls of those blood vessels get, well, they get leaky. This increased permeability is key because it allows for step 3, emigration. Our all-star team of white blood cells, the leukocytes, can actually squeeze out of the bloodstream and march right into the tissue to take on the invaders. And this leaky situation, it's absolutely crucial. The gunk that seeps out isn't just water. It's this thick, protein-packed stuff called exudate. I like to call it inflammatory soup because it is loaded with cells and everything else needed to fight the good fight. It's completely different from, say, a transudate, which is that thin, watery fluid from a blister that's mostly just due to pressure. That exudate, that's the battlefield. And this is where it gets really cool. It's like watching a tiny superhero mission unfold. It's this wild 4-step journey. First, the white blood cell is just kind of tumbling and rolling along inside the blood vessel, getting slowed down by these sticky molecules called selectins. Then, bam, it slams on the brakes, latching on tight with another set of molecules called integrins. That's firm adhesion. Then comes this absolutely mind-blowing move called transmigration, where it literally squeezes itself through the cracks in the blood vessel wall. And finally, once it's out, it uses chemotaxis. It literally follows a chemical trail, like breadcrumbs, leading it right to the bad guys. And just like any good emergency response, the team doesn't all show up at once. They arrive in waves. First on the scene, within about 6 to 24 hours, are the neutrophils. These guys are the SWAT team. They're fast, they're aggressive, and they're there to neutralize the initial threat. Then, a day or two later, the monocytes arrive. They mature into these big eaters called macrophages, and they're the cleanup crew, gobbling up all the dead bacteria and cellular debris. So, okay, we have these two incredible, life-saving alarm systems, the ejection protocol and the first responders, which, leads to a pretty big question. If they're so great at protecting us, why on earth would we ever want to shut them off? Well, the problem is sometimes these alarms, they go haywire. Ever get motion sick? That's a total false alarm. Your brain gets conflicting signals from your eyes and your inner ear, and it panics, triggering the ejection protocol. Or think about chemotherapy. It can make the alarm system way too sensitive, so the helpful drugs constantly hit that serotonin panic button. And with inflammation, you can get friendly fire. The first responders are so fired up, they start attacking our own healthy tissue, which is a huge problem in conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. And this is where modern medicine gets seriously cool. See, instead of just taking a sledgehammer to the whole system, we've figured out how to hack it. We've developed these incredibly precise tools to go in and selectively silence just the parts that are causing the problem without taking the whole system offline. So let's talk about hacking that ejection protocol. The key here is precision. It's not about turning everything off. For motion sickness, there are drugs that specifically block the signals from your inner ear. For a cancer patient, we can use a completely different drug that just blocks that serotonin panic button. For other kinds of nausea, we target the dopamine button. It's about finding the one wire that's shorting out and snipping it. And the magic word here, it's antagonists. An antagonist drug doesn't actually break the panic button. It fits perfectly into the receptor's lock and puts a little safety cover over it. That way, the real signal, like serotonin, can't get in to push the button. It is such an elegant way to silence a false alarm. And guess what? We can pull the same kind of trick on the first responder system. Remember that second step of the journey, firm adhesion, where the leukocyte grabs onto the vessel wall? Well, some powerful anti-inflammatory drugs do something amazing. They block those adhesion molecules, so the white blood cells can roll on by, but they can't stick, so they can't get out. It's basically like locking the firehouse doors. The firefighters are ready to go, but they just can't get to the scene, which is exactly what you want when they're about to cause friendly fire damage. When you step back, it all comes down to this really beautiful, delicate biological balance. It just goes to show, once you truly understand the body's intricate wiring diagram, from the brain's control centers to the choreography of a single white blood cell, you can go in and make these incredibly precise adjustments. So there you have it, two totally different threats, bad sushi and an infected cut, leading to two incredibly powerful and really intricate defense systems. Two alarms that have evolved over millennia to save our lives. And now, because we understand them so well, we've actually found ways to take the controls ourselves. And that leaves us with one last kind of big thought to chew on. These alarms are there for a reason. They evolved to protect us. As our medicine gets better and better at silencing them, the real challenge becomes one of wisdom, right? Knowing when an alarm is a life-saving warning we absolutely have to listen to, and when it's just a malfunction we need to silence. Where do we draw that line?